So it's not just limiting yourself to geoscience, or because I went to KNUST, I have to specifically go and do petroleum geoscience. No, the field is wide enough. I think that
There's great opportunity for a whole lot of people. Welcome to Energy Quest. Today I'm unusually very excited for a very special reason. So, you know, on Energy Quest, we always try to promote women in the energy sector. And one thing that always comes up, or the general thoughts of people that we try to correct all the time, that ladies who dominate or who do great in this male-dominated sector are either boisterous, or they are probably tomboys, or, you know, all that. So today I have with me a very special guest, and the reason I'm excited, I'm not going to even address her by her name. I'm going to address her as Miss Malaika 2010. Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, that was how many years ago?
Yes,
but yeah.
yes.
Thank
but
you.
That's the beauty of what we do on Energy Quest.
Yeah.
So today we're honored to have Ama Osei Sarpong, who is actually an explorationist. She is the lead in exploration in her company currently, okay? And she was a beauty queen in 2010, and somebody in that space tells you that she's still that soft woman, but she's doing super in the energy sector. So we're going to speak to her today. She's going to do us the honor of understanding how she got in the space and exactly what exploration is all about in the upstream sector of the oil and gas space. Yes. So welcome again, Ama.
Thank you so much for having me, Leslie.
Okay.
It's an honor. You're doing amazing on Energy Quest, and let me just say congratulations to you too.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for coming, okay? So first, let's answer the curious question. Why would this fine, pretty woman not think of, you could be a lovely model, you could choose to just pursue that, you know, but you choose to study petroleum geoscience, right? That's serious business.
I know. I get that question a lot. Like, people would ask me, what am I doing in, like you said, overalls and hard hats and Wellington boots?
Yeah.
But for me, the interest and my inspiration towards the energy industry started, I would say it's been multifaceted. One, from the influence of great people that I've had around me.
Great.
I didn't think I would end up in the oil and gas industry to start with, because my background education, which we'll get to, in SHS was actually agric before the journey to earth science actually started. But just by having an inspiration of people who have been in the industry for a while around me, I got interested in their works, their dedication, their passion. I'm like, okay, what is all of this?
Yeah.
But then that part of me that still likes to be a lady or a girly girl had always been there. And so that is why you would find that at some point I challenged myself to say, I want to do pageantry, but not full time. You know, pageantry is just 1 year and you get to, you know, use the platform for good. And so that was my reason for entering into the Miss Malaika pageant. I did that in my first year at the University of Ghana, and then once I was done, in fact, my parents wouldn't even let me complete my whole 1 year and said, you know, it's time for, it's time for me to go back to school. Yes. And that has been the journey. So from pursuing an earth science degree, also at the time when Ghana had just discovered oil, you know, tallow, cosmos, all of that. And it was just, I think the timing was just right, that in terms of career, where should I go? Not that I knew that exploration would be where I would end, but somehow here we are.
Wow.
A couple of years later.
So do you have parents, where did you grow up, first of all?
I grew up in Tema, born and raised. But my parents, my dad passed away. He was Ga, my mom from the Ewe land. Those two combinations, you know, grooming me into who I am today. I grew up in Accra, went to school in Accra. I've always been an Accra lady. And so that was just a natural progression to go to University of Ghana. Luckily, when I was done with school, I happened to get my national service at GMPC. So
Okay.
that was the natural progression
Yeah,
into
yeah.
the industry, because really that's where a lot of people I know started. And then after that, I got hired to do geoscience. And then a couple of years later, here we are.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm proud of you. I'm
Thank
really
you.
proud of you.
Thank you.
There aren't that many ladies doing these things, you know. I mean, we've had people come on this platform, and when we listen to your experiences, we realize that it's there's so much work being done to get more and more women in the space, but
Yeah.
we are not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I remember an incident when somebody explained being on a rig where there were about 200 men,
Exactly.
and there's just 2 ladies there.
I've had that experience before.
Wow.
My first time on the rig, I don't know what I was expecting, you know. I heard the stories, but
Yeah.
to go and really experience it for myself, and out of a crew of about 200 people, we were only 5 ladies.
Oh.
And you would ask yourself, why aren't there so many more women
Yeah.
in this industry? It's not like they can't do it, but even to the extent that the cooks on the rigs are male.
Amen.
And that's where you start to ask yourself, like,
That's
really,
extreme.
there's a problem that needs to be fixed. And we hope that, you know, through conversations like this and what you're doing, more ladies would be interested.
Yeah.
The opportunities are there, I
Yeah.
believe.
I think it starts right from the mind, you know,
Exactly.
psychologically, or let me say, our upbringing is also part, where we come from, how culture perceives these things, you know. So it's all just sits in the mind,
Yeah.
because some of these things are just basic.
Yeah.
Whatever they're doing is simple for you to do, but
Exactly.
well,
Well, we hope that with time,
we'll get there.
and there are now conversations that are increasing, you know, trying to get more women involved.
Yeah,
And I hope
yeah,
that
yeah.
in a couple of years, we would see the percentage of women
Yeah.
in the industry
We,
increase.
we love the fact that you're not only focusing on your hard work, but you're trying to mentor a whole lot of other people. Tell me
try.
about that.
So with the mentorship thing, at the moment, it came from a place where, being in school myself, I found it difficult to have female mentors talk to me about what to expect in the industry.
Yeah.
And that's why during my free time, I'm like, okay, whoever reaches out to me, I currently have a group of ladies, they flood my LinkedIn with messages saying, I want to be mentored by you. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't do it one-on-one, so let's do it as a group, right?
Okay.
So currently, I am a part of SPE, the Society for Petroleum Engineers, and I am the deputy chair for D&I section. So because of that, I have the opportunity to mentor as many young professionals and students as possible. So that's one area. Then I'm also a part of Lean In Equity and Sustainability, which is an organization that is geared towards women who are currently in male-dominated spaces, so such as the oil and gas industry, just to see women who have been there before and learn from them. Really, it's just,
and
can
see
you
how
be a
practical
sponge
this
to
is.
exactly to see how it's going to be done? Yeah.
Wow, you're doing amazing.
Thank you.
Very, very proud of you. So
Yeah.
let's go right into exploration. You know, commonly,
Yeah.
we all just know that before the drilling of the oil and all that will happen, there has to be exploration.
Yes.
What is that really about? Help my viewers understand that. Guys, get your pen and paper and let's learn something here.
I'll try and break it down in the most simple form, just so your viewers can understand. I would say exploration is the first phase of the entire oil and gas value chain. So even before you see the fuel stations, it starts from exploration. So now let's go back. I'm going to get into teaching mode.
Yeah.
You know, we can do exploration offshore, so in the waters, or onshore on land. And basically what it really means is the simple word exploration. When you think about it, it's about looking and seeking for where we can find possible hydrocarbon deposits.
Okay.
And we are hoping to use technology. As a geoscientist, you would use technology and the expertise for whatever company you work with to locate areas underneath the subsurface where you can find potential reserves for hydrocarbons. And the point to make it exploration is it's not just we are looking and then we finding and that's all.
Okay.
Is it in quantities that will allow us to be commercial, exactly, that would allow it to be economically viable? Because again, it's a business. And it's not it's not a charity,
you know. It's not a charity.
So the companies that are involved need to make sure that this is profitable. So after we find our location, first of all, there are a number of steps that are involved. It could be the use of geophysics,
okay.
Which is like seismic surveys to help us get the data that we need to find where the hydrocarbons are. Then the next thing we'll do is to do prospectivity, prospect evaluation. Now that we have the data, we study the data, and then we know and identify certain regions offshore Ghana, for instance, where we have the Sankofa fields and the Talo, 10 fields. Those are all areas that have been identified by the use of seismic technology.
Okay.
Next thing is the drilling. I'm just trying to do this in a, rapid steps. So now we found our prospect, we've evaluated it, it looks like something could be there.
So what the main trigger to move to drilling is commercial quantity.
It has to be evaluated. So there's a step called pre-drill evaluation, where you are doing your analysis based on the data you have, whether it's geological data, seismic data, existing wells in the location.
Okay.
And once you put all of that together, you do some form of evaluation to find out how much can this prospect that we've seen give us. If the volumes are enough, then we say, okay, let's go and drill. But now the drilling is 50-50, let's say. You could find something or you couldn't.
Although you have data,
exactly.
It doesn't necessarily
mean that your exploration well will be positive.
Because we know that that whole space, that whole industry is pretty expensive to operate.
Exactly.
So if after data is still a 50-50,
so that's the point, the whole point.
Wow.
It's a high risk, high reward industry.
Okay.
So you stake based on the information you have and you say, okay, luckily for the company I work with, all our wells have been very positive.
Okay.
So based on that track record, you can say that, okay, the expertise are there. So now that we drill, hopefully we have found something and we can confirm whether what we said was going to be there is there, because now we have a well in place to give us data. Next thing is we need to do post-well data analysis. That means that we take information from that exploration well we have drilled and then try and process it and say, confirm the volumes that are in place, the reserves that we are expecting, and then we do another economic evaluation. Is this thing going to be able to produce us a field?
Okay.
Because the first thing we have now, we only have a well, an exploration well. Then the other departments, which is development and production, they would be relying on us as explorationists to say that this is economically viable. And if it is, hopefully the project can now move from exploration to development and production.
Then we go.
Yes. So that's the simple step.
It's high risk.
It is.
It's a whole lot. Even though you're explaining it, that's simple.
Yeah.
It just can be completely
simple. It's not so straightforward. And you know, not a lot of companies have the resources to be able to do such
research,
such work, research and exploration work.
But how long is the exploration period?
Typically, it ranges from whichever country you're in, but now I would say the range is about 7 years, where you have an initial period. So you have certain work commitments that you have to fulfill based on the agreements that you have made between company and government authorities.
Okay.
So we say, okay, within these 7 years, we are going to drill 3 exploration wells within 3 phases. And that will determine the success of the business to move on from exploration to development.
So when government is given allocating wealth, is it that, no, let me not say allocating wealth per se, because until by then it's not necessarily a well, right? So by the time they're giving you that block, you're giving a company that block, do they do it according to some research that had already been done in the area? Because they could give you a block, you
Yeah.
go and explore, and there's nothing there.
Exactly.
And then
So
what happens?
the way it happens is before the government opens this, there are different ways that the government can say, invite companies to come and bid for a block. And based on the value that they are putting on the block, they can award it to X company who they feel meets the necessary requirements.
To be able to explore it.
Now, if you have a block and you were expecting X number of prospects, but however, you come in and you realize that, you know, it doesn't work out. At the end of your 7-year exploration period, you need to relinquish the block back to the government.
If you do not find.
It all depends on you. So you can find and say, okay, it's not enough.
The quantities,
and so you want to relinquish it, or you can find and you can have the block.
You just lose out on your expense, or
that's the way the business is.
That's
so
the
like I
risk.
said, it's the high risk, high rewards, and so that is why it's very important to do your research on the area
even before
taking the block. And those are things that we do as explorationists.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's the industry is not as straightforward as it looks, you know?
It's not. There are a number of challenges. For instance, from a political point of view, depending on your country. I mean, if you compare Ghana to the Middle East, I think that we are in a better political space.
Really?
Yes, I would say.
Okay.
In terms of stability, that also are some of the things that will determine if companies are interested to invest in your country or not.
This is a big eye opener, I'm sure, even for my viewers, you know, because you'd always look at it, oh, the exploration happening and then the drilling happens, and you know, we look at it just that simple in the various phases, and then it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so exploration could take up to about 7 years.
Yes.
And then, so when the drilling begins, is there any work for the exploration team to still do, or that's it? We move it on to the drilling to take over.
So that's the thing. So right, you have 7 years to explore. After that 7 years, you hand over to the development or the production team. So you as an explorationist, you need to be constantly finding new prospects. So it's always important that, you know, the company is in relations with the government to try and find new blocks to explore in. Otherwise, then what's the point of being an explorationist?
Oh.
Yes. So
I see.
Yeah, our jobs are very limited to certain technicalities.
So strictly, and
if you're an explorationist, it almost feels like you are limited to that. Yeah, that's how it feels.
Okay, so I'm interested in knowing what kind of opportunities are in the space of an explorationist.
Okay.
Okay.
Quite a lot, and it depends on your background as well. So maybe those who went to tech, they are doing the engineering or geological engineering, geology in itself.
Okay.
You can find different elements in exploration. So it's possible that you can specify and be, say, a sedimentologist. Okay. Someone who is only studying the sediments.
Sedimentary of
then there's the explorationist who is doing the interpretation. There is the well geologist as well. All of that is under the big umbrella of exploration. Good thing now is that you can transfer your skills. So assuming for some reason, all of a sudden, exploration just ceases. What happens to us as young professionals, right? You need to be able to reevaluate your skill sets and see which other areas that you can transfer these skills to. And now with the coming up of sustainability,
I was just going to talk about that.
Energy transition.
Yes.
It's very possible that an explorationist would have to transfer their skills and work, let's say, in carbon capture and storage utilization. So those are some of the areas that we can move around.
Okay, I was just going to talk about that, but you already hit it right there. So tell me what that is about, working in carbon capture. What does it mean? Okay, so with carbon capture, the same process of drilling a well to extract hydrocarbons. Let's say you have old wells available. It is possible that those wells can be used to store CO2. Okay. Exactly. So that is just the concept of carbon. So capturing carbon from the atmosphere and finding ways to store it into those same wells. So
if an explorationist is studying the subsurface, you would still need to study the subsurface to bury the CO2. So same process, same transferable skills.
We have use for same hands.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, but genuinely, do you think that this industry would have to go to sleep anytime soon in order to make way for true, I mean, for us to save our earth?
That's been a passion of mine, to understand what, where really net zero is and what net zero really means for us as Africans, first of all. And I think that, yes, we still have some time to maximize our hydrocarbon resources, even before we can start to fully rely on renewables. That's if that is even possible, because you think of flying a plane, your fuel that goes into it. Is there really going to be a time when, we can fly a plane on battery storage?
Constantly,
maybe,
or
but
well, I know now they are doing a lot of work
exactly.
on using hydrogen,
yes, green hydrogen,
all that. I mean, there are
that.
Lots of options aviation is looking at, but it's pretty expensive.
It is
so
highly.
Practically, how many airlines can ride on that constantly? How many? The commercial sense of those fuels.
I fully agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, for sustainability is something we do so much work on as well. Yes, so we have great interest in it because, of course, I mean, we all want to save the environment, all that. So for us here, one of the things we're doing is to contribute by, I mean, bringing in use of electric vehicles. Okay. So that's something we are doing to have Ghana dominant in electric vehicles. So that way we all contribute in some sense, but all together, I would personally say, or I think, that the two would work hand in hand.
Yeah.
We can't go 100%. It can't be zilch.
Completely net zero.
No.
It's a debate on its own, and I don't want to go into that. But what I can say is we have an opportunity to transition where, so instead of relying on countries that rely on coal can use a lower CO2 gas, for instance, maximize our hydrocarbon resources, infuse the solar energy, the wind energy, and then we see what next. Yeah,
I think infusing it does. That means that we tend to reduce all the emissions, and then we can all be fine, because of course the emissions into the atmosphere are just not the best.
Exactly.
Yes. So 50-50, and then we'll be fine.
I agree. There are also a number of initiatives that exploration companies can do. So for instance, carbon offsetting is big, where you think it's just planting trees, but at the end of the day, if those same trees are absorbing the CO2, then of course we are also moving towards net zero.
I love the fact that now it's topical.
Yeah.
And everybody is interested in sustainability. That feels like we're getting more and more responsible.
Absolutely.
So that's exciting. I'm happy you're doing work in sustainability as well. Okay, so let's touch on. You mentioned bits of, but I want to veer more into that. So there are a number of careers that are all found in the exploration space. Okay, so I'm a young lady who is interested in the sector. Okay. I won't consider exploration. You said you could study geology. Go over that. What are some courses you could study? What kind of actual careers are in the line or the circle of exploration?
Okay, so I would also like to add a bit on the artificial intelligence side and material science, because the industry is very data driven. And so for someone who may not even have a petroleum geoscience background, but say has a finance background, has a science background, you will still find a space for yourself, because even though it's an exploration company, there are different elements. So there's HR, there is health, there's procurement, there's logistics, there is, like I said, finance, data science, all of that. Put it together and you have a complete team. Exactly. So it's not just limiting yourself to geoscience, or because I went to KNUST, I have to specifically go and do petroleum geoscience. No, the field is wide enough. I think that
There's great opportunity for a whole lot of people.
Young professionals just need to ask and do the research,
try
and
to get information.
Find a space for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I think in our time, information is more common than it has been just in the near past.
Yeah.
But it's not being used enough. So that's something, I mean, we talk about a lot, especially at our energy career seminars. We speak to them a lot about that. Information is all over.
Exactly.
Find it.
Yeah.
And then take advantage of it, because some of these things, if you don't have a master to tell us about it,
I know.
we'll not get to know. So I think information is key.
But
you really
the
do have
thing
a
also
point
is
there.
professionals of today have a bigger advantage. Think about how 10 years ago, it would be so difficult for me to reach the CEO or the MD of Talo or E&I, whatever. But now on LinkedIn, all I have to do is find and draft a message to them. So the reach, the connection now is even better. So I think that young professionals shouldn't hold back.
Take advantage of the resources available.
Exactly.
And the addition of AI now, it even makes it sweeter and easier.
Exactly. Now there's ChatGPT. If you want to do your research in petroleum geoscience, it has become so easy now.
It's all there.
10 years ago, you have to go and sit in Baum Library.
You have no excuse to fail. You have no excuse. Yes.
So there's a lot.
Yes.
Going on.
So it's what we are saying here is take better advantage of your resources.
Yes.
And then position yourself well. Sometimes social media is used for softer things and not, I mean, to develop careers and all that. But like you said, LinkedIn is an amazing tool. Yes, you can use it to catapult your career just like that.
And also upskilling yourselves. Today we are talking about energy transition, but when you go to the universities, hardly would you find curriculums that touch or cover on energy transition topics. It's still the old things, So now that YouTube is available, you type energy transition, see what you find.
You can watch Energy Quest.
You can watch Energy
Quest.
Get lots
of information.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that's what I'll say.
I'm very, very happy that you joined us today.
I'm happy I came.
I love how practical you have made that big exploration, It's such a heavy thing when you are not in the space and you hear about it. And you made us understand this is pretty simple. Yes, and it's a big eye-opener. You're very grateful.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I really admire how you have committed to mentoring others and also on the plus on sustainability. But I'd love you to give a last word to my viewers, okay?
Okay.
Yes.
My last words will be, make sure you watch Energy Quest all the time. So, I mean, what can I say? It's been an amazing conversation with you. I am grateful for the opportunity. For young professionals who are interested in the industry, like we've said over and over again, the opportunities are endless and you do not have to limit yourself. Get the necessary mentorship you need, speak to people, and the world is at your fingertips. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amma.
Thank you.
So viewers, this is one of those episodes that needs that pen and paper I always remind you about. Amma has taught us a lot. Yes, she's done amazing. So get information like we've talked about. Resources are all available now. Take advantage of it. And then you can also catapult your career before you even know it. So this is what we do on Energy Quest. We demystify the energy sector and add value. Till we meet again. Ciao.